So my name's Virginia Bray. I'm director at Marketing Fusion. We're a content agency specialising in helping B2B tech brands tell their stories and gain engagement. And I'm here today with Bishop Vranch from Sitecore.
I'm the Global Director of Account-Based Marketing at Sitecore. And essentially Sitecore connects brands with their customers. That's what we do. We're the leading provider of end-to-end composable digital experience platform, which unifies data, content, commerce, and experiences. So as you can probably imagine, relevance and personalization are kind of at the heart of everything that we do. So Sitecore's business is built on helping brands create kind of powerful connections with their customers. So for us, ABM is another way that we can do this. So implementing an ABM strategy has been something that we've wanted to do for a while. And it's really, I think one of the benefits we've seen is that it's really helped us to develop these deeper insights about what customers and prospects want from us, and then kind of understand when and how they are ready to benefit from our solutions. And this in turn helps us to really focus our sales and marketing efforts on where we can provide the most value to the prospects and customers that we're trying to reach. But yeah, I think in terms of the challenges, setting up anything new, any new ways of working anywhere in a business is always going to be a challenge. I think with ABM particularly, it's, we're talking about essentially a new approach to marketing. So ABM, is often thought of as a tactic or a strategy that covers all of marketing, and it's not that. It's an approach that you can take that helps you to focus in a specific area on your marketing. So to drive, you can drive efficiencies and kind of focus down on the accounts that are kind of adding most value. And for a company like Sitecore, that's really important. Like we have a wide range of composable solutions, and they help brands connect with their customers across a wide range of different touch points. So it's been really critical to understand where we can have that kind of biggest impact and how we can kind of add those insights in to create a layer of activity within our marketing engine that's more focused. And I think that's it's been interesting to understand and kind of work through that challenge of where can we use ABM most effectively? Where does it make the most sense? And where perhaps we're better off focusing on scale marketing activities or other types of marketing approaches. So yeah, I think that's kind of where we've seen some of the challenges and where we see some of the opportunities with ABM.
Obviously, Sitecore's a global brand, isn't it? So that must present some challenges. How does that work when you've got lots of different geographies and so on working as part of your go-to-market?
Yeah, it's always a challenge trying to work on a global basis. And I think there's a common misconception about you can have one global ABM strategy, and that doesn't really exist. And that's, in my experience, not the best way to approach it. It's absolutely helpful to have a global framework, global best practices, things that do make sense for different regions. But any effective ABM program has to build in so much customization and localization, because the markets just aren't the same. There's a huge difference in how you go to market in countries in Asia versus the US. Even within EMEA, there are huge differences in the levels of maturity, the abilities of the ABM technologies and tools that we use. They vary widely, and honestly, markets are so different, and the levels of maturity are so different. This one size fits all strategy doesn't work, and I have seen global brands try that and try to develop a global strategy and implement that strictly in different regions, and it just simply doesn't work. And that's kind of one of the learnings I've taken certainly into this role is, it is important to build from the top down to kind of set out these frameworks. But really you need that organizational flexibility to build from the ground up as well. So to work closely with each of the countries, each of the regions, understand the nuances of marketing in that country and of account-based marketing specifically, and build that into the strategy. And really it needs to be that kind of two-directional approach. Otherwise, I think you're just setting yourself up for failure.
I wondered if there was anything else that sprung to mind in terms of things that you've had to draw upon in order to move forward on this strategy, on this journey?
Definitely. And I think some of this taps into who I am and my kind of as a person. I'm very into data. I'm a data nerd. I love understanding different bits of data, and I can get kind of lost in that and kind of geek out on all of the different data points we have about about markets and regions and prospects and things like that. The important thing to remember with ABM is that it is data driven, but only in the sense that it's actually actionable insights driven. So data is great, but there is a tendency for some ABM practitioners to get lost in that data and to get kind of consumed by it. And the amount of data we have access to as organizations today is fantastic. It's brilliant, but it's really important to focus down on what are those true actionable insights, those intelligent insights that allow us to provide the relevance that our customers and prospects are looking for. A lot of the data is just noise, and it's really important to kind of see through that.
How might you do that? Does that just come from experience and having sort of tested things out and maybe a sort of a small scale and being able to pick out what you think is going to be the most useful?
Testing and iterating is really, really important, but at the end of it, it really comes down to your strategy, your go-to-market strategy as a business, and what is truly important in that sense. Mm-hmm. So in that way, yes, you need to connect it to, you need to be able to constantly test and learn. You need to use different data points and understand if those are the correct ones that are enabling you to be hyper-focused and be super relevant for the people that you're trying to reach. So that is key, but that has to be linked into your broader business strategy and what's important for you as a business. Perhaps there are specific industries that your solutions are highly relevant to, and that might be where you start, and that's where you start to explore what data exists that allows you to intelligently segment in those industries. You can use intent data, for example. That's a great tool that we have, but again, you have to be careful of understanding what the noise is there, and a lot of that is about testing and iterating. Does this data point or do these sets of data points provide us with the insights that we need, or are they just sending us off in the wrong direction? A lot of that is piloting, testing, iterating. And that's been really key to our approach at Sitecore, is to, we test things on a really small scale, figure out if they work. If they're driving results, great. That's something that we can expand upon and roll out more widely. And if not, fine, stop. Think again, go back to the data, think about what the insights are, and then move forward in another direction. That's definitely a really important approach. And I think, none of us has unlimited marketing budget. It's about being intelligent, understanding where you can have the most impact, and then using the insights to kind of drive your program. The top thing that I would say, top takeaway for ABM is it's important to remember that this is just one component in the whole marketing mix, and having an account-based approach to part of your market or most of your market can be really, really valuable. But there is a tendency, because ABM requires a new way of thinking, it requires a bit of lift, quite a heavy lift on some aspects of marketing, depending on how you decide to focus. There can be a tendency to just go all in and all you do is ABM. If you're going to do that, it's essential to start with, to really segment the audience that you're kind of going all in ABM on, whether that's your kind of top strategic accounts, which is absolutely a sensible place to start, or whether you want to start at the opposite end of the scale, start with, using some of the automation tools and technologies to start with a scale approach across part of your customer base. But ABM should infuse what you're doing, but it shouldn't be the only thing you do. And I think that's one of the key things I see, or the key mistakes I see being made by brands, is they're just, right, let's throw out what we're doing in marketing, let's just do ABM, because the returns can be great. But certainly when you're starting out, it's really important to start small, to pick a few accounts, or pick maybe one of your solutions, or maybe a market that you want to try a new approach, and that could be an emerging market or a growth market for you. But to kind of pick that area of your business to start trying ABM, to start thinking in an account-based way, to try and align all of the different teams you need to be successful around that small group of accounts or on that scale approach, and define that up front and start small and test. And everyone says that about ABM, but it's because it's true. start small, keep testing, and roll out where you see success. Engaging stakeholders from across the business is absolutely critical to an effective account-based marketing approach, because you know, it's not a marketing play. The name is a bit misleading. We actually refer to it as account-based experience more often than account-based marketing, because it is much broader than just marketing. Obviously, engaging sales, engaging operations teams, engaging everyone you need throughout the process, from, you know, even legal teams and content teams, and all, you know, everyone that's kind of critical to that, to the process, that is super important. But I think it can feel really overwhelming to ABM practitioners, especially when they're in a larger organization, when people say you need to engage all of these different teams in what you're doing. That's probably not where to start. For me, it's about having that tiger team, having that small group of stakeholders who understand what you're trying to do, who are behind it, who are connected with your executive sponsor or whoever's pioneering ABM strategy from an executive standpoint. And it's getting that tiger team, getting one or two people from each area of the business to bring their expertise and have them commit to making the program a success, even if that's just a small test pilot. You know, you want your champion sellers and SDRs and marketing folks and operations folks and everyone who needs to contribute to that. But you just start with a tiger team. Start with, you know, building those relationships with one or two people in each area, and you can always expand out from there.
Yeah. So and just thinking through the sort of as we're sort of wrapping things up, the channels that you found effective in terms of some of the key learnings from that point of view. Is there anything, any insights that you'd love to share around that particular aspect?
When you're thinking about channels and you know, content and channels and those sorts of things, when you're thinking about executing your ABM, ABX campaign, there are ways of reaching your market with ABM that are potentially newer. So there are plenty of account-based marketing platforms out there that will allow you to do account-based advertising, for example. So there are new channels that you can bring into your mix. But there are also the existing channels will remain important. So it's critical to make sure you have a blend of channels that you're comfortable with and you understand what the results are going to be, you're able to predict very well, and then layer in those newer sort of account-based channels and kind of blend all those things together. So it is really important to have that that kind of outlined strategically from the start, like which channels are we going to use at which stage of the buyer journey, how do they blend together. And I would, if you're starting out, I would caution against using a whole range of new channels and not investing in any of your typical ones, especially when you're trying to manage that change from a broad marketing approach through to more account-based approach. Just introduce some new things into the marketing mix, and you don't need to kind of strip away everything that you typically do. In terms of getting people on board and making sure that your results are predictable, kind of layering those different channels together throughout the initial stages of your strategy, I think it helps to reassure people that you're not just sort of throwing everything out and starting again. And it also makes it helps people to understand what the impact is of layering those new channels in, and it helps you to learn in a lower risk environment, because it's going to take a few goes for you to get account-based right. So yeah, layering it in rather than just kind of starting completely new with new channels, new content, everything like that. That's definitely what I would recommend in moving forward.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lauren. So just to sort of replay that for your top tips, it's, you know, this is part of the mix. It's not everything. Just infuse it with all of the other marketing activities that you're doing. I love the Tiger team. I think that's a fantastic insight and tip to help people to kind of, you know, not try and boil the ocean in one go, I guess, and just get the poor people on board, and to mix those channels, to take the established and the new and blend them together. I think those are some really fantastic insights, be really super helpful to people that are at any stage of their ABM journey, really, but looking to make some success of it. So Lauren, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. And presumably if people want to connect with you or follow you on LinkedIn, for example, they can find you. We'll share some details on that, but really appreciate thank you for your time today. It's been super.
Thanks. It was great speaking to you. Yeah, I love talking about ABM, so absolutely happy to connect with anyone else who feels the same.